You're watching Commander's Demand with your host, Sports PSP, exclusively on the Grid Network.
Yo, what's up, folks? It's your boy Sports PSP in the building. I hope everyone's enjoying a fantastic day. Welcome to another episode of Commander's Demand. Folks, I apologize for the inconvenience. I know I'm a little bit late. I was supposed to air it at 9, but due to some technical issues, 15 minutes late. But fortunately, folks, we're able to have a good episode regarding Commander's Demand, folks. Please go like and subscribe to the Grid Network. Also, like and follow me on Instagram. Also, Sports PSP for more content regarding what I do, whether Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, whatever the case may be. Go follow me. Please go follow me to whatever social media or platform that I'm on. Folks, today's episode, the name is It's a Vibe. It's summer. What better way for most people to enjoy the summer by having nothing but a beautiful, positive, and great vibe? And for the Washington Commanders, they definitely need to be on a beautiful vibe. And folks, anyone who's watched Commander's Demand or have heard me on Commander's Demand knows I have been critical from day one about this organization, from day one about Daniel Snyder. I'll say it before and I'll say it again. He is literally, beyond a shadow of a doubt, the worst owner in the NFL. He is absolutely nothing more than an embarrassment and a disgrace as an owner. And look, with the new ownership, with Josh Harris, I do believe it's almost done. I'm reading an article here from NFL.com. According to NFL Network's Ian Rappaport, NFL teams were informed of a special league meeting that will take place on July 20th, in which owners will consider and potentially vote on the Commanders' sale to a group led by Josh Harris. The Washington Post was the one who broke the news. Harris, who co-owns multiple professional sports teams, reached an agreement with Commanders owner Dan and Tanya Snyder to buy the franchise for an NFL record price, $6.05 billion on April 13th. The two sides have entered a purchase and sale agreement on May 12th. So, look, folks, they have until July 20th to see if the sale will approve and will be official. And the agreement is subject to NFL approval by a vote of at least 3/4, which is 24 of the league's 32 owners. It shouldn't be 24 of the 32 owners. I feel like, in all seriousness, it should be unanimous. Daniel Snyder, I'm going to say it again, folks. He is literally, without a doubt, the worst owner in the NFL. And arguably the worst owner in sports. He's worse than Jim Dolan, in my opinion. And Jim Dolan, to say that someone is worse than Jim Dolan, that's huge, because we all know how Dolan is incompetent as an owner, executive with the New York Knicks. And I just think he is not the type of person people want to root for or people want to support or give the benefit of the doubt. Dan Snyder is just an embarrassment, from the Albert Haynesworth free agency signing to all the other moves. I mean, don't get me started with the FedEx field. It's a shitty embarrassment field. No one's going to take it seriously. It's an effing joke. Who would want to play on that field? And folks, I'll probably get into this in a little bit, but them uniforms, yeah, I got something to say about them uniforms. To make it short, they need to be some serious ass changes when it comes to those uniforms. But back to July 20th, it should be 32 of the 32 of the 32 owners kicking him out, voting to kicking him out, because I feel like he's bad for business on and off the field because of the product, the FedEx field, the controversy surrounding the name of the team, the logo of the team, how embarrassment they have been for far too long as an organization. How much more can Commanders fans actually take, folks? But I hope he is gone once and for all. Because, like I said, today's episode, the name of the episode is called It's a Vibe. And I need to be in a positive vibe, positive mood, because it is the summer. And I want to enjoy my summer fantasizing about what good things Washington could do. And I hope one of them is tanking the rest of the season to get Caleb Williams. And I'm not going to back off of that. Another thing I'm looking forward to is Dan Snyder being gone, and with Josh Harris with the new ownership, so that Washington Commanders fans and Washington's can move on and look something forward to, because we deserve better than this, folks. We deserve way much better than what we've gotten, because the past 24, 25 years we have been under the Dan Snyder ownership or stewardship is just a fucking embarrassment. Why would any player, why would anybody want to support this team given the fact that he is literally the worst owner? This is hard to stomach. This is hard to deal with. This is hard to tolerate. It's really just that hard, folks. It's really just that hard to be with an owner who is by far the worst, who puts bad, terrible products year in and year out, who gives fans, diehard fans, whether in DC or whatever the case may be, they spend their hard-earned money to watch this team. And considering how atrocious, how pathetic, how disgusting that field is. Anyone remember the incident with Jalen Hurts? When, as he's about to leave, all those fans fell into the field? So to me, I hope that they sell the team once and for all. I hope that Daniel Snyder is gone and that he's no longer the owner, no longer the team owner, no longer the guy supporting this team. I can't support this dude. I've tried for 20 plus years. And what has that gotten me, and what has that gotten a lot of fans in Washington? Nothing. Literally, absolutely, positively nothing. The only thing that we look forward to is them players like Da'Ron Payne, Montez Sweat, hopefully if he's healthy, Chase Young, Sam Howell, Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, the offensive line, Emmanuel Forbes, Eric Bieniemy, our new offensive coordinator. So I'm looking forward for this team to take a step up. And the only way we can take a step up and become hopefully something that we want to be is that Dan Snyder is officially no longer the owner, and Josh Harris as the new owner. My recommendation is trusting the process. Given the fact that you are co-owner of the Philadelphia 76ers and you saw what happened when he brought in Sam Hinkie, and the trust the process by acquiring talents such as Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, and I believe Caleb Williams is going to be the next great quarterback in the NFL, and he's from DC. I just hope that Washington gets. The bottom line is what I'm trying to say is I just want Washington to succeed because I'm just tired of living in this hellhole for far too long. I know I sound like a broken record, folks. I'll say it. I'll say it again. I just can't stand dealing with the struggle for far too long. We deserve better, and we know we deserve better. And this fan base, we will not be satisfied until Daniel Snyder officially walks out the door. And when that happens, goodbye and good riddance. So my next subject is regarding Sam Howell. He's been receiving a lot of praise for his leadership. This is what Terry McLaurin said about Sam Howell. I think Sam has a real quiet confidence about him. He's not going to tell people what to do, but he knows what he's doing when he gets out on the field. Howell even said, "It's my job to get the guys going and take command of this team. So it's something that I'm always trying to improve." Antonio Gibson also spoke about Sam Howell. If someone's not lined up, he's taking control of that. If we don't get out fast enough, he's bringing us back in the huddle, being a captain. And this is what also Ron Rivera said. A couple things that really stood out to me was his confident level in terms of calling the huddle, breaking the huddle, getting to the line of scrimmage, making his calls, and then operating the offense. So by all accounts, Sam Howell has had a heck of an offseason. He's showing everyone that he's a leader, that he can play, that the Washington Commanders have high value, high regard for him. And, that's wonderful to have. But we got to see that on the football field as well. And look, even though I've been on the record saying that, hey, if Washington ends up getting the number one pick and if we get Caleb Williams, I would love to have that. And if we don't, and if we end up getting Drake May, all right, I'll live with that. But if Sam Howell can become the second coming of Drew Brees or Russell Wilson, not saying that he'll be that, but if he can be Drew Brees or Russell Wilson, hey, that's great for Washington to have. Because when's the last time we've ever had like a top 5, top 10 quarterback in the NFL? Drew Brees is going to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I think he'll be a first ballot, even though he hasn't won a Super Bowl. Even though he only has one Super Bowl, he never has won a league MVP. But I believe he will be in the first. He'll be a first ballot Hall of Famer. He'll definitely go into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Even though Russ has had a down year last year, I still believe Russ is a Hall of Famer, a perennial Pro Bowl quarterback. And if Washington ends up getting that type of quarterback, I'll live with that because we've had, I don't want to be disrespectful, but we've had okay quarterbacks. The best one we've had in a little while was Kirk Cousins. And then we thought we had something in RG3, but nothing. And unfortunately, with RG3, the knock on him was durability problems, injuries, everything else that played a factor. And RG3 was never the same. He just wasn't the same physically. And, that really devastated us as Washington fans because we traded up in the draft to take him with the number 2 pick. And it was hard. But then again, folks, this is a different time. Like I said, the name of the episode is It's a Vibe. It's about positivity. It's about something to look forward to in a positive way. I got to talk about Chase Young and Montez Sweat. These two, I thought about it very long and hard. Both players who I love because of what they can do on the outside, their athleticism, they're freaks of nature. Chase Young, we knew, had it not been for a quarterback era, he would have easily been the number 1 pick coming out of the Ohio State University because he was just that freakish of an athlete. He was just that great of a talent coming out of Ohio State. But unfortunately for him, injuries have derailed his career at this point. And when I look at Montez Sweat, he is a freak as well as Chase Young. People forgot that he ran a 4.4 at the scouting combine back in, I think, 2019 for a dude that's like 6'6", 260. In Washington, we stole him in the draft. I think we drafted him with the 26th overall pick. And when you look at Montez Sweat, he's unlike Chase Young, he's more available. I think Montez Sweat has the potential to make multiple Pro Bowls because if you look at his body of work, 4 years in the NFL with the Washington Commanders, 29 sacks. You know, you look at the sacks. You look at his rookie year, he had 7 sacks his rookie year. His sophomore year, 9 sacks. Third year, he took a step down. Washington took a step down defensively in 2021, 5 sacks. And in 2022, second highest sack season in his career, 8. And it's hard. It's really hard with Chase Young or Montez Sweat. I think who's more valuable between Chase Young or Montez Sweat, believe it or not, folks, I'm going to go with Montez Sweat. Because given the fact with Chase Young and his durability problems, again, the best ability is availability. I'll say it again. The best ability is availability. Without availability, how can you contribute? How can you help a team win? How can you produce? If you're on the sidelines in street clothes and if you're not on the football field, then I'm sorry, how are you helping the team win other than providing a spark or leadership to the team? Montez Sweat, to me, can do that, but he's available. And you look at Montez Sweat, I mean, his first year, 16 games. Second year, 16 games. Third year, he only played 10 games. He was available all season long, 17. So he's more available than Chase Young. He's more of a freakish athlete, just as freakish as Chase Young. I believe Montez Sweat can have double-digit sacks. I believe he's capable of giving me 10, 12 and a half sacks. And considering all the reports about Chase Young being traded to the Commanders, in case if we lose Chase Young or trade him, and if we get little return, we can't lose Montez Sweat. No, I rather would take care of Montez Sweat instead of Chase Young. I'm reading the comment from Brandon Tillman. Thank you, Brandon Tillman. Shouts out to you, man. How many years he have on his contract? Brandon, I need you to be a little bit more specific. Which player are you referring to? Montez Sweat or Chase Young? Because all I know with Chase Young, the Commanders, they didn't pick up his 5th-year option. So it's a make it or break it year for Chase Young. And I also think it's a make it or break a year for Montez Sweat because he could enter free agency and he can go somewhere else. And I would hate to lose both. But if I had a choice between losing one and keeping one, I keep Montez Sweat and I let go of Chase Young because Montez Sweat is more available. Montez Sweat is as freakish, just like Chase Young. Montez Sweat can give me double-digit sacks. Chase Young, I have the concerns with the knee. I got concerns about the knee. And if Washington decides to trade him, we might as well get something in return. Okay, Brandon asked me both of those players. Well, Chase Young right now is in year 4. He's entering year 4 of his career. So, and remember, Washington did not pick up his player option. you look at Montez Sweat. He's been in the NFL for 4 years. He's not entering his fifth year in the NFL. So I don't know how many years he has on his contract. I'm looking it up right now. But like I said, I'd rather keep Montez Sweat. I'd rather keep Montez Sweat. And if I have to trade Chase Young, I move on because I have concerns about the durability problem. And if I lose him, I can't lose Montez Sweat because losing those two outside pass rushers is going to put a lot of pressure on the interior, particularly Da'Ron Payne and Jonathan Allen. So I got to keep both. I got to. And folks, if you want to add more comments, if you want to say something, please leave your comments in the comment section below. Always fascinated, always enlightening to what you have to say. And I appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all for helping me become more informed, helping me become more aware. It's just tough with the Commanders. But Montez Sweat, I would go forward with over Chase Young because they're around the same age. If you look at it, Montez Sweat right now, if you look at his age, he's what? Montez is like 26 years old. And if you look at Chase Young is 24. So not that much of a difference between of the age. Montez Sweat is a couple of years older than Chase Young, but Montez Sweat, unlike Chase Young, is available. I'm reading Brandon again. Appreciate you, Brandon. I am a Ravens fan. I like Sweat. That's who I want to go to, the Ravens. Yeah, you would love to have Montez Sweat. Hell, you would love to stack up that defensive line. Who wouldn't want Montez Sweat? And Montez Sweat, folks, he, like I said, he ran a 4.4 at the combine, and he's fast to get after quarterbacks. Go look at some of the games last year when he on the Thursday night football game against the Chicago Bears when he was going after Justin Fields. Go look at the Falcons game. Montez Sweat can get after the quarterback, and he's freakish. He's got long arms because after all, he is 6'6", but he can bat the ball down. He can bull rush. His value, his impact to the team is just as much, if not more, than Chase Young. Because like I said, Chase Young, the question with him is durability. Never his talent. Never his talent. His talent has never been the question. I think Chase Young's talent is great. When his talent is great. Hold on, Brandon said something again. I would trade Justin Madubuike for Sweat. You also got to give me some draft picks or something in return because I would be foolish if Washington if I trade Montez Sweat and I get no draft picks. Montez Sweat is capable, folks, of making multiple Pro Bowls and getting double-digit sacks. So if you think I'm just trading a player if you think I'm giving you Montez Sweat and I'm just getting a player just like that, you got another thing coming. No, I'm not doing that. You better give me a fourth, a third, or a fourth if I give you Montez Sweat. I wouldn't do that if I'm Washington. But like I said, I would keep Montez Sweat. And I don't think is that much of a debate. Montez Sweat is just as young. Montez Sweat is more durable. He's available. He produces. I trust him. He can get after the quarterback. He's just as impactful on the team as Chase Young. Without ability, how are you helping me win? How are you helping me win? Really, how are you helping me win if you can't stay healthy? I know he is a very good DN, Brandon, but still, I want draft picks too. I know he's a very good DN. He would definitely help with the Commanders D line. I wouldn't mind having him on the team, but I also want some draft picks as well. And I'm quite sure you would also want draft picks as well. That's how I feel. That's my opinion. I would love to have draft picks for the Commanders because I want to look something forward to with the new ownership. The new ownership, they want draft picks. Okay. Speaking more of Montez Sweat, I want to talk about start, bench, and cut. And Brandon continued, Justin Madubake never missed games all 4 years he's played. Yes, I get that. I'm not questioning, I'm not debating, I'm not arguing that, but I still want some draft picks. Sorry if I sound greedy. Sorry if I sound a little bit too much, but I need more on the table if I'm Washington. I need more for Washington. Folks, on start, bench, or cut, there are 3 players. I mentioned that either you start, you bench, or you cut. And that's between Montez Sweat. That's also Da'Ron Payne. And also Terry McLaurin. If you had a choice between start, bench, or cut, for me, I would start Terry McLaurin. I would bench Montez Sweat. And I would cut Da'Ron Payne. I know that sounds crazy, but let me explain why. When I look at Terry McLaurin, and hold up, before I get into that again, let me read Brandon's comment. Justin Mudake and the Ravens have a 3rd round pick. Would I take it? Yeah. If you give me a 3rd, 4th, something like that, yeah, I would take it. Like I said, I need draft compensation. I also think you want draft compensation as well, Brandon. But back to the start, bench, and cut. I would start Terry McLaurin. I would bench Montez Sweat, and I would cut Chase. I'm sorry, not Chase Young. Da'Ron Payne. Between the 3 players, start Terry McLaurin, bench Montez Sweat, cut Montez Sweat, cut Da'Ron Payne. I'm starting Terry because the past 3 seasons he's had over 1,000 yards. He's arguably a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL. He made the Pro Bowl last year. And when I look at Terry McLaurin, he reminds me in some ways, based on production, DeAndre Hopkins. Just on production. Because when I look at DeAndre Hopkins before he had Deshaun Watson and Kyler Murray, look at the laundry list of quarterbacks he's worked with. Tom Savage, Brock Osweiler, Matt Schaub, TJ Yates. Any other quarterback I forgot to mention regarding the Houston Texans with Deshaun, before he had Deshaun Watson, DeAndre Hopkins. But he worked with a bunch of guys until he had Deshaun Watson. And then Arizona, to a lesser extent, he had Kyler Murray. So when I look at Terry McLaurin, he's in that same situation like DeAndre Hopkins, because look at the quarterbacks Terry McLaurin has had to work with. Russell Dwayne Haskins, Kyle Allen, Alex Smith. You look at Sam Howell, he only played 1 game. And you also look at Carson Wentz. These are not quarterbacks that knock your socks off or anything. Terry McLaurin, past 3 consecutive seasons, over 1,000 yards, made the Pro Bowl, arguably a top 10 receiver in the NFL. He's consistent, and I like that. And I think consistency is a very important component to have, not just in football, but in life. So I start Terry McLaurin. I bench Montez Sweat because, like I said, if I lose Chase Young, I cannot lose Montez Sweat because I still need someone on the edge to get after the quarterback and can also somewhat stop the run and could chase after the quarterbacks because he has that speed. I cut Da'Ron Payne. And before Commanders fans, y'all say I'm losing my mind, I'm blowing smoke out my ass or anything like that. I want to be very clear. I am not questioning or doubting Da'Ron Payne as a football player. I'm very happy that we still have him on the football team. I'm very happy that we gave him the contract, 4-year, $90 million contract. That includes 45 million fully guaranteed, 60 million in total guarantees, as well as a $28 million signing bonus. I'm very happy that we took care of Da'Ron Payne. So I'm happy for the Commanders. We keep him. And he made the Pro Bowl like Terry McLaurin. Best season of his career last year. He had like 11 and a half sacks. And he is paid as the second highest paid player at his position, only behind, of course, Aaron Donald. But I feel like an edge or a defensive tackle, unless if he becomes the second coming of Aaron Donald, which I don't believe, as good as Da'Ron Payne is, he'll never be an Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald is a once in a lifetime, a generational talent, folks. He's going to be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame when it's all said and done. I don't see that with Da'Ron Payne. Very good player. He'll make a couple of Pro Bowl. He'll make some Pro Bowls here and there. He'll compete. He'll bust his ass off. But do I see him being Aaron Donald? And plus, I can just get defensive tackles. Maybe not like running backs, but I can get somebody else. I think Sweat's value is more than Payne's value, because if I lose Chase Young and if he gets hurt, I need someone else to step in, and that is Montez Sweat. I don't want to lose Chase Young, but if I lose Chase Young or if I trade him, I have to keep Montez Sweat. I just have to. I have to do that if I'm the Commanders, because I can't lose both. And if I lose both, that puts a lot of pressure on my defensive line, including the inside. It puts a lot of pressure on the linebackers, because what are we going to do? Are we going to go cover 2? Are we going to go cover 3, man to man? And plus, it's going to put a lot of pressure on our cornerbacks, I'm sorry. Because with the new cornerbacks we have in Emmanuel Forbes and stuff, and we're not really that good of a secondary team, folks. You know, we just got to do our part by keeping as much talent as we need. I'm not saying that Da'Ron Payne is not a good player. He is a very good player, folks. But I just feel like if we're Washington, I think we can get like defensive tackles just like that. Now, if you tell me Parnell or Sports PSP, if we can find someone like a Montez Sweat, whether late in the first round or second and third round, then that's understandable. Then I would say start Terry McLaurin, bench Da'Ron Payne, cut Montez Sweat. That's my opinion. If we find someone to replace Montez Sweat. But the fact of the matter is, I don't know if we have anyone at this point to replace Montez Sweat. Therefore, I feel like it's a huge responsibility if we're Washington to keep him because, like I said, we can't lose Chase Young. And if we do lose Chase Young and if we trade him, we have to keep Montez. We can't lose him for nothing. We can't allow him to enter free agency and get the bag somewhere else. So that's how I feel. Start Terry McLaurin because he's more consistent. He's a proven commodity. I feel like his production, I trust him a hell of a lot more. And he's better at his position. He's arguably a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL. I bench Montez Sweat because if I lose Chase Young, I got to keep Montez. And I cut Da'Ron Payne because I feel like I can move on from him. So anyway, folks, let's talk about another subject regarding the Commanders. I also do another podcast, folks, Sports PSP podcast. I talked it over with my man, Coach Dante. I'm glad he was on the podcast, and thank you for coming, my man. He said something. He really liked this team. He really liked what Washington has as far as the players and everyone else around them, but he's still not sure on Sam Howell. And again, like I said, we'll wait and see with Sam Howell. But he and I, we talked a lot about Eric Bieniemy. And we agreed with a lot of things about Eric Bieniemy. I think Eric Bieniemy will do some wonders with this team, with this offense. And if Ron Rivera decides to walk out the door and we decide to put EB as the head coach, I am totally fine with that. I think it would be wonderful to have him as a head coach. And if he does a solid job with the offense, then we can end this narrative. Well, you know what? He's just a product of Andy Reid. We could finally end that narrative once and for all because he was accused of calling or not calling plays during his time in Kansas City. Ironically, that has never been said about Matt Nagy or Doug Peterson or John Harbaugh. So I don't know, man. Like the summer, there's going to be a lot for me to think about the summer. We're almost about like a month away from the preseason. And speaking of the summer, I thought about Hard Knocks. Yeah, Hard Knocks, HBO's Hard Knocks, training camp and stuff. And there have been a lot of teams that I can think of that should definitely be considered for Hard Knocks. You can look at the Detroit Lions with a lot of the expectations this season. Dan Campbell. This may be the team to come out the NFC North. My man Bryson, check out his podcast, Carving It Up podcast. He actually said he has the Detroit Lions competing in the NFC. And as soon as I heard that, I was like, so that's a team that can be definitely in the conversation for Hard Knocks. Also, the New York Jets, because, of course, Aaron Rodgers and some other teams. And, of course, you can't ignore the Dallas Cowboys because, like it or not, folks, America's team. But why not the Washington Commanders? Why not them being on Hard Knocks? It's not really as exciting to a lot of people, but I do think it is exciting nevertheless because of the new ownership. Eric Bieniemy, first year as the new offensive coordinator. Like I said, if Ron Rivera decides to walk out, EB can step in. Sam Howell, first year as a starter. This will be a huge test for him. Can he be the guy for the Commanders? Also, Terry McLaurin, Chase Young, Montez Sweat, Da'Ron Payne, and also a lot of other players. that we haven't paid attention to. And of course, some of the rookies that were drafted, particularly Emmanuel Forbes. I wouldn't mind the Washington Commanders on Hard Knocks. It may not pay a lot of attention to the NFL fans because they rather see somebody, some other team. But I wouldn't rule out the Commanders being on Hard Knocks. Heck, if they're on Hard Knocks, I know for a fact I'm watching it, not just because I'm a Commanders fan, is because I want to see and I want to hear some stories about some unknown players. I want to see what type of commitment, what type of effort that the Commanders are doing night in and night out. That would be a huge thing for me to see as a Commanders fan because it gives me an indication, okay, this team is for real. And you know, folks, the reason why I became a Commanders demand, you see that logo right there with 21, the late great Sean Taylor. God rest his wonderful soul. He, other than RG3 being drafted, he was a huge reason why I became a Commanders fan, folks. And still to this day, even though people are like, Commanders, you? Yeah, because of Sean Taylor. That dude played with a lot of swag, a lot of confidence coming out of Miami. He was the truth and a half, and unfortunately, tragically, his life was cut short at the age of 24. I just want to see this team succeed, man. I just hope that Washington could give us what we want is what we need to see and need to hear because we need hope. We need prayer, that's for sure, but we need hope. So I wouldn't rule out the possibility of seeing the Commanders on Hard Knocks. I would love to see it. But what says you? What says you, folks? Thank you, folks, for taking the time to go on Commander's Demand and listening to my podcast, Sports PSP. I will definitely come up with some more content regarding the Washington Commanders. Also, folks, please go like and subscribe to the Grid Network. Also, like and subscribe to the other content creators, podcasters on the Grid Network, such as Bryson, such as Ryan, such as Dev, Barry. The list goes on and on. Support them. Go like and subscribe to them. Also, go like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, folks. I'll put it on in the comment section below. It is Sports PSP. Okay, it's Sports PSP right there. Please go like and follow and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I released some episodes regarding Antonio Brown. I also released some episodes regarding the NBA. I do more than just Commanders news, folks. I talk about a lot of things. So please check out my YouTube channel. Folks, thank you for enjoying and taking the time to listening to the podcast, folks. I'll come up with some more content. Thank you for tuning in. It's your boy Sports PSP. Hope everyone is enjoying a fantastic evening. And as usual, folks, God bless.